Rays Mountain Bike Park, and I just wanted to take this time to give another shout out to Keith and Rays for providing us with this location for this podcast. If you've never heard of Rays, it's been called Disneyland for bicycles. It's got everything for everyone at every different skill level. So with that being said, thank you again to Keith and Rays, as well as you guys for listening and watching, and let's get into this one.
This is No Promises Podcast number 3. We are currently at Rays Mountain Bike Park with the man, Keith Miller and Sponge. So, start out easy. When did you first start riding?
Riding bikes?
Yes. You can make the distinction between serious riding and kid riding, however you want to talk about it.
Well, there wasn't much time between like kid riding and sort of serious riding, even though I was just so young. So I don't know whether you still want to call that serious or not. But like I started riding a bike when I was just turned 5, and I started racing like the very next year.
Wow.
Yeah.
6 years old.
It was pretty crazy.
How many people were there then?
That were racing?
Yeah, was there a lot?
Well, now you got to remember, now I'm not as young as you guys are. So this was back in 1974 when I started racing first. So in 1974, BMX was very young.
In Ohio?
And, no, this was in Florida.
Florida, okay.
Yeah. So the only reason why I even got involved in racing was my dad had a best friend that worked for the county. And the county was putting in this BMX track. And my dad went to help them build it. But back then, there was no huge jumps and gaps or anything. It was made out of telephone poles, old recycled tires, and an old wooden gate, you know, that they had to pick up by hand and lock it in place. And they had this little foot spring thing where the guy just sat back there and he would repeat the cadence by mouth.
Yeah.
There was no computer or no cadence thing that you just pushed a button and there was no recording or anything. It was just some guy back there with a big cigarette hanging out of his mouth. He'd be like, "All right, riders, pedal set." And he just push this little foot lever thing that you tried to look over here a little bit to see when he was going to push it, you know. But yeah, that was a long time ago, 74. So started riding a bike, and then my dad got involved with the track, and then I started racing, and then as soon as my sister got old enough to start riding, she started racing as well.
Wow.
And then we did the little circuit around there until I was about 13.
Were you good? Were you fast?
I don't know if I would say good and fast, no. I would say that I was really competitive.
Yeah.
And I'd say that, you know, my dad took it seriously, I guess as serious could be back in the 70s, where the evolution of BMX racing and the BMX bike was just coming into its own. Like when I kind of quit, things were starting to make sense, and some of the bike builders and bike manufacturers started making specific products for BMX.
Yeah.
You know, and there wasn't really like a freestyle and a dirt jump and stuff like that. It was just you race BMX. And then guys from the BMX track started putting wooden ramps out in the middle of the track. So you would go down the first straightaway, and some of the older guys would hit this wooden ramp, you know, and they just go up and do their little look over thing, you know, and land flat. And that was like a really cool thing. And that was sort of the birth of kind of freestyle thing.
Wow.
How many tracks were around Florida during that time?
So
Like
the
you said,
track,
circuit. Yeah.
the track that my dad helped build was either the first or the second track built in Florida, and one of the very first built in the country. California had a couple of them before Florida did, but it was California had a couple of the original ones, and then Florida started in with that. So it was definitely one of the original tracks.
It's crazy.
For sure.
Yeah, that's crazy to be a part of something like that. Something that's original, you know.
It was pretty crazy if you look back on all that stuff. You know, there are Joe Kidd on a Stingray. If you look at stuff like that, I mean, that's how it all started. Just some guy in a lot somewhere that just kind of went with a rake and just kind of made like a little course out of stuff and had like a little line, and you just all lined up on the line, and some guy said go, and that was it.
Is that what you were riding? The same like Stingray bikes?
Stingray,
Just-
absolutely. Now, you know, mine and my sister's wasn't necessarily a Stingray,
Yeah.
but it was, you know, something like that. Because
Yeah.
there was no such thing as like a freewheel
Right.
or even a handbrake.
Yeah.
It was coaster brakes and, you know, just like big bars that came up like this, and that was what we raced. There was no knobby tires or
Yeah.
anything like
Yeah.
that. It was like that came shortly after, but it was really kind of like in the garage. Let's
Yeah.
figure this out. Let's weld this. Let's
Yeah.
put this here.
Yeah.
Let's try and like make this work from a 10 speed over to like a BMX bike with all
Right.
kinds of different fabrication and stuff. It was raw. It was super raw.
That's so.
So if you showed up at the track with a handbrake, man, you got all the
There's
chicks.
something-
Yeah.
I can't imagine trying to jump or race with a coaster brake. That would be petrifying.
Well, you got to think about, you know, jumping wasn't like that important or that,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
And when it's
It
all
was-
you know.
Yeah, I mean, back then it was all about the power slide, you know, and the skid, and berms weren't even a thing.
Yeah.
Like the big, bold berms that we
Yeah.
know today, we all had flat corners. And to show up to a track that had a little bit of a bank in a corner, like, we just went out there and looked at it for like 15 minutes. We couldn't even believe that there was any sort of angle to a berm at all.
Yeah.
So, you know, I know it's really hard for you guys to like kind of visualize this, and sometimes it's hard for me to recall some of the old stuff. But yeah, I mean, it was super raw and super just trying to figure everything out. But jumping, yeah, like you said,
Yeah.
now you think about jumping on a coaster brake bike. I mean, it's like you're asking for it,
Yeah.
you know. But back then, that's just what you did.
So in some ways, it was almost as gnarly as racing today.
Kinda,
In
yeah.
its own
Yeah.
way.
I mean, there was purpose-built water pits.
What's that?
It was a hole that they filled with water, and you had to go through the hole. Wow! Is that really a surprise
It's
to
an
you guys?
obstacle, yeah.
You guys need to do a little bit more BMX history.
Yeah.
I
That's
think
what
you
this
guys
is
need
for,
to step.
yeah.
Wow!
You're
well,
educated.
yeah, okay, all right. Class is in session.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that was the thing, and they would put like little funny signs that said like "Beware of the alligators,"
Yeah.
or "Beware of sharks" or something
Yeah.
like that. But yeah, there were purpose-built water pits that had like a wedge built out of dirt with a telephone pole
Yeah.
that was stuck into the dirt, and that served as the lip. So when you got to the telephone pole, it was just like a doo-doo. You know, and there was no landing.
Yeah.
Like it was just to flat. So you had like this little wedge to the telephone pole, and then the pit, the water pit, and then you had the landing, the ground, the track, or whatever. And to jump the whole water hole was like something that like hardly anybody did.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
That is.
So we would wear
So
like,
amazing.
so there was no such thing as Vans,
Yeah.
right? I mean, Vans, I mean, there were, I can't say it didn't exist, but there were Vans.
Yeah.
But we were emulating motocross people, you know, that
Mm-hmm.
we would see films of or whatever.
Yeah.
So we would wear like construction boots or even like cowboy kind of boots.
Yeah.
And we would tuck our pants in, you know, so it wouldn't get caught in the chain. And then we would take duct tape and duct tape around where your foot would be on the pedal to give extra grip on the pedal.
Wow.
Because they were just old school, like,
I think I've seen pedals with tape
Roller,
on them
Yeah.
before.
yeah, well, we would put, you know, like the shoe there, we would just wrap it around here,
Yeah.
you know, around the boot, around
Yeah.
the construction boot.
Just got the extra grip there.
Extra grip
Yeah.
because
Wow.
back then they weren't plastic, but they were like a molded rubber.
Yeah.
Some of them were, you know, some had like little ridges and stuff, but they weren't really thinking about like sharpening those ridges until a few more years later, and then
Yeah.
guys were out there sharpening their pedals to make them, stick to their shoes. But yeah, it was just hard soled construction boots.
Do you think with that type of like early such form of racing, did that start, like did tracks start to evolve then, or did bikes start to evolve, or were they both at the same time? Did like one like shoot, like did it, someone start having big berms and like, all right, we need to do something about these coaster brakes, or
No,
vice versa?
once the racing scene started getting a little more popular, I mean, it was just as niche-y then as it is now.
Mhm.
The bicycle racing, or even BMX in general. It's kind of a niche-y thing. So, but once a few people, started kind of tinkering with the BMX bikes and wanted to be a little more competitive, you get these guys that just sort of step up to the plate and then start offering products for certain bikes or whatever, kind of like how Profile started in a way.
Mhm.
Like it was, he's got his kid involved in racing, and the parts were breaking and this and that, and his dad had a machine shop.
Yeah.
So he went in and he designed some cranks or some frames or whatever, started welding all that stuff up, and it was really done by guys like that who had machine shops, who had extruding plants, that had different resources to start. If they just had an idea, they would just build it, put it on a bike, and see if it worked.
Yeah. How long?
Grips evolved, handlebars evolved, brakes.
yeah.
Brakes have never evolved. Brakes
Yeah.
are still in the 1970s. I don't know why. They just get brakes for BMX bikes don't evolve. I don't get that.
Currently, it's because no one rides them. As
Yeah,
far as
but
like,
they've had a lot of time
you're right.
to try and do that.
You're totally right. It's weird.
It's pretty frustrating as somebody who deals with it on a daily basis. I'm like, man, can't they come up with something better than that?
Yeah. How long did it take for like the evolution and like things to catch on and
I don't
become popular?
It didn't take that long, because if you think about like from 1974 when I started, in about 79, 80, 81, like that, things were really starting to evolve. Like you were starting to see like custom number plates and grips and aluminum bars and custom frames and wheels and stuff like that. By 1980, it was full bore BMX, and companies were making frames and wheels and tires and everything. So it was only a very short time from when Stingrays, and then boom, race bikes.
Yeah.
And then everything kind of took off from there. It wasn't very long,
Hmm.
no. But it was really popular back then.
Yeah. When was Rad?
Rad was in the 80s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that helped explode things too.
Yeah, there were a couple different TV shows and stuff too that brought attention to the sport,
Right.
of racing and or freestyle.
So. So there's that, and then there's where we are now. How do we get from there to here?
Whew.
What came next?
Lots of horrible fashions, lots of horrible frame design.
Yeah. Well, okay. So you talked about emulating motocross.
Yes.
BMX riders wore the full leathers. Was that from the very beginning, or did that like come into its own by itself?
Well, you mean, back in the 70s it was, construction boots, because, the riding boots back then were all made of leather as well, like the motocross boots. And for the guys who did have leathers that did ride motorcycles, sure, they wore the leathers to the BMX track.
Yeah.
But guys like me, and my family couldn't afford motorcycle leathers or even a motorcycle helmet or a jersey or anything, so we just did t-shirts and jeans and
Duct tape to boots.
and duct tape boots and paper plates for number plates.
Yeah.
Because back then you weren't assigned a number. You got a number each time you raced as to where you signed up on the sign up. So when you went to sign up, you stood in line, you got to the front, you said, whatever, I'm 11 years old, I'm a junior or a I forget what the classes were then. It was junior, probably intermediate and expert or something. But you would just tell them, and they would get the sheet, and they would go, okay, 11 years old, intermediate, okay, what's your name? And they would write it down, and then next to the name would have all these numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And then they would just flip over a paper plate, they would write that number on there and just give you the paper plate, and that was your number for the day. So you didn't have like an assigned number.
Yeah.
They were just trying to figure out the whole point system and how all that worked. So it didn't take long for them to give you an assigned number, but you had to race quite a bit.
Back then, like with the circuit and stuff, was there an organization like there is now who kept track of everything for everybody?
Yeah, back then in Florida it was called the NPSA, the National Pedal Sport Association, and it was, I believe it was strictly bicycle oriented.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have anything to do with the motocross at all. Then it sort of morphed into other things, and then I think eventually there were different organizations in different ways. I think they had FLBMXA or something, well, also, and then with the NPSA, and then I think California had their own sanction too, and I don't know how it all kind of came together, but eventually it all became one or two,
Yeah.
you know,
Meshed.
and now it's just one, but yeah, for the racing stuff anyway.
How long did you stick around the racing scene before you moved on to a different type of bike, or were you a racer for? How long were you a racer?
No, well, so from 6 until 13 and a half, 13, something like that, it was just completely race the whole time. Then it was baseball and soccer and golf and some other things, and of course, by the time that kind of went along its way, then it was girls and cars and other things. So I came back into bicycles. I was riding motocross at the time. I always wanted a dirt bike. My mom said, no way are you getting a dirt bike or anything motorized.
Yeah.
So as an adult, I was like, oh, I got this opportunity. I was living in Ohio then. I was like, I'm going to get a dirt bike. Everybody around me had dirt bikes, so I got a dirt bike. Started riding that, met a girl who had a couple little kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I am not buying your children a dirt bike. That is not going to happen. So I said, but, I'll get you a bicycle when we go to the BMX track.
Mm-hmm.
And we just showed up one day. I think I was 27, 28,
Was
something
it
like
Akron?
that. It was Akron.
Wow.
Yeah, Akron, Ohio. Just showed up one day, had a couple of bikes, just didn't really know. I hadn't been part of the scene for a long time.
Yeah.
I started mountain biking a little bit, like before the motocross thing, but not anything serious at all. It was just like a weekend thing to go ride the towpath or whatever. And then started racing BMX, like.
Yeah. Is that how you got into like announcing and all that stuff? Or how long did that,
Yeah.
when was the transition there?
Well, there's, as a lot of people will know, if once they get into BMX racing, there's maybe a year, maybe 2 years that you go through kind of like just trying to find your place at the track, like finding your little clique that you hang out with, getting to know the people. Then you start getting involved in the track. Like, hey, I want to come here more often because I want to practice, I want to get better, I want to get faster. So you start finding out, hey, if I just volunteer to do something, I'll get more access to the track or whatever. So then you get involved in the volunteer and maybe being on the board. And the announcing thing was kind of a weird thing because I always, since I was a little kid, and I just told this story the other day, since I was a little kid, I would make cardboard radio stations upstairs in my mom's house in Florida when I was just a little kid. So I would make radio stations and I would have all the knobs and I'd have a little microphone and some speakers set up and stuff. And I would just sit up there all day and just pretend to play music and hot jock the music and hit the post and talk this up and give the weather and like send it on to the news guy and like that whole thing. So that was always sort of a love of mine to want to do that one day. So there were some other things too. If you want to get into that or not. But
Yeah.
There were some other things. There were some other things too where like opportunities came along and I didn't pursue them.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't make it my priority to say, hey, look, I really think I can do this. I just need a shot at doing it. So whether you know this or not, but I was in the circus when I was in high school. So, there's an opportunity to be the ringmaster, the person who, goes out in front of the whole crowd, is under the spotlight, who has the top hat and the tails and announces the circus and makes everything wonderful and tips his hat to everybody out there, and I just didn't take that opportunity, and I should have, and I didn't. Because I knew I could do it, but I was too man, I've never done it before, I don't think I can.
Yeah.
I wasn't quite, ready for that.
Yeah.
So when the BMX thing came about, one of my friends was the announcer every week. So I'd go up in the tower every now and then, and I'd just see how he was doing it. And one day, I think he just had to leave to race or something, and he just handed me the microphone, and he said, hey, man, will you do a couple motos until I get back? I go, all right, sounds good to me. And I just started doing it, and it literally just fell out. Like, everything that was going on in my head just started falling out. And it was just like, I'm not going to say it was easy because there was a learning curve, but it was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great.
Right?
This was a race, and it just came out, and it sounded okay, and I just started doing it.
I mean, anyone who's ever heard you announce knows that you're good at it.
Well, I'm not a traditional announcer.
I've never heard a traditional announcer, so.
Well, have you seen any videos of like BMX races and all that? I mean, it's
not really.
So, yeah, I just try and throw a little flavor in there.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't listen to the announcer.
Mm-hmm.
So when I try and get people to help announce or try and like recruit people, say, hey, you should come and announce. Mm-hmm. Because it grows this community of people who can help.
Mm-hmm.
So when I try and do that, they're like, oh man, I can't do that, I can't do that. and I'm like, I'm telling you, the only people that are listening to you right now are the parents of the kids that are on the track. Other than that, nobody else is listening.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a blah, 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 like that. Who wants to listen to that?
Right.
So I try and change it up a little bit. And when I get the opportunity to freeform, or maybe throw a plug in for the concession stand, or for maybe a vendor that's in the corral that's trying to sell some stuff, I'll just make shit up. I mean, just make it up as it goes along.
Yeah.
I'll tell people that there's prime rib being sold at the concession stand,
Yeah.
I mean, what are they going to do, arrest me for not being prime rib at the concession stand? But it gets people's attention. Now they're listening.
Right.
Now they're like, whoa, wait a minute, what was that?
Mm-hmm.
So I try to make it interesting to where people want to listen to what I'm saying, even though what I'm saying means nothing at all. But, I need to tell people where the bathrooms are, what's for lunch, what's going to be happening here in 15 minutes. You know what I mean? All that informational stuff. But it's the other stuff that you try to make somewhat interesting.
Yeah.
Because the announcer is the essence of the event.
Yeah,
If you have a good announcer and you can play off of the announcer's abilities and also throw in, I think music is also part of it too, but it has to be a good mix of it.
Yeah.
It can't be in your face. The music can't be in your face. The announcer needs to be in your face,
Right.
letting you know what's going on.
Oh.
And if you can't understand the announcer, or the system isn't powerful enough or clear enough, then nobody knows what's going on. Everybody's standing around going, what did he just say? What's going on? Where do we need to be?
Yeah.
And like for an event that people and volunteers have spent a ton of time putting together, they overlook a lot of that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. Where they try and put everything in place but they just don't think that much about the announcer and how important that person is in getting their point across to let everybody know what's going on. So I think it's I think it's super, super important.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Reflecting back on different like contests, like if there's a good announcer and they're keeping the thing moving and keeping it fun,
Yep.
like everybody's day is going to be awesome.
Oh yeah,
Everybody's
Yes.
day is going to be awesome.
Yep.
absolutely.
Yep. I can make people do the craziest things because they, you
Yeah.
know, they listen.
Yep.
So I'll make the whole crowd, okay, everybody on your feet.
Yeah.
And everybody will stand up.
It's so
And everybody
funny.
raise their right hand. Everybody, all right, everybody raise their left hand. Like that. Now go, okay, now we're going to moto number 50.
Yeah.
We're taking off here. We got 8 riders on the gate. And, you know, and they're all standing there like this. It's
Is there
like,
more?
yeah, there's no more. It's like, I just made you do that. Like
Yeah.
it's,
Wow.
it's just a, you know, it's a weird thing having that microphone, but you also, you know, have to realize that a lot of people do listen. So you
Right.
have to keep it rated G.
Yeah, that's.
And you have to watch what you say and who you're saying it to and about. Because you never want to, you know, dig on, you know, somebody, you know, that's possibly wearing a helmet during an interview or something.
Right.
You know, that could possibly, I mean, that could possibly hurt the guy's feelings.
Yeah.
You know, or his
Yeah.
bike, or what he's wearing, or his
Right.
number plate, or, you know, or something else. You know, you have to be very supportive, and you can't, like, bag on anybody unless it's a friend of yours.
Right. So, so at the same time as all of this, what were you like riding skate parks or trails or anything else too at the same time, or was it just racing and
That's-
announcing?
This is funny, and this is where I think a lot of kids nowadays and parents and even like guys that are my age or guys that were my age when they got back into it, you know, late 20s, that they have the blinders on and they're only thinking about how fast they are on the track.
Yeah.
And they're not realizing that by riding different disciplines and doing different things on your bike also helps you be really fast on the track. But sometimes you have to sacrifice maybe a gym day.
Yeah.
You have to sacrifice a little training day to go out and ride trails and ride park and ride street and, you know, just
Yeah.
ride your bike.
Right.
Being in the gym is great for your muscles and all that
Yeah.
stuff, but you gotta ride your bike. And I think that's lost. So for me, I saw guys like Neil Wood, that was, you know, one of the last guys on flats. I was watching guys like Tim Strzelecki and I forget who Mike Gonzalez, and all these guys that would show up, and I would completely go right to the fence and watch pro practice. And I would look for those guys because those guys had the best trail style. They'd get the inverted flatties over the pro set, and they would just manual for days. And I mean, watching a guy go fast around the track is cool, but you want to see some style. You want to
Right.
see it being done smooth and in control. It's almost like the guy could eat a lunch while he was jumping a jump, you know,
Yeah.
like he was so comfortable doing it. And it was just the style that I was after.
Yeah.
So that's, for me, it was, yeah, racing is important to me and I want to be fast and good, but I also want to emulate guys like, you know, Mike
Yeah.
Gonzalez and Neil Wood and guys like that, you know, that have that awesome style. So for me, I had to work on it. I didn't even know how to manual. I mean, it came
Right.
from like 1980, whatever it was when I stopped, 1982, 83
Yeah.
or something when I stopped racing, and then I jumped back into it in 1998 or 1997. So it was like a whole new ball game.
Right.
And I'm like, all right, well now I got to learn to manual, I got to learn to pull manual, I got to learn to, you know, do these other things to be competitive. So, you know, luckily I sought out every single trail there was to ride. The trails at Romito, and like there was some down in Akron at the Lions Club. I think there was some down there, and Paul Thorne and Tommy Thorne had their trails in Akron, and unfortunately I didn't know about Apple Creek. I don't think they were running at that time, you know.
It would have been Not yet, just very at the beginning.
Right. I'd heard rumors about a place in Apple Creek, but it just wasn't on our schedule to do that.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I definitely wanted to ride trails, and park and street wasn't really my thing. Now I kind of understand where it falls in there, but back then it just wasn't a thing. I just wasn't interested, and we didn't have the option like Ray's.
Right.
Yeah.
We didn't have that option. We had Chengawan.
Yeah.
And you went there, and it was just, I was an adult at the time, and I was like, this really isn't a place for adults.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't feel comfortable there. I didn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah. And I was like, all right. I went there a couple times, but I was like, this place isn't for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not like Ray's.
No, not like Ray's. Chengawan has a lot of great history, and they've really developed a lot of the biking culture here in Cleveland.
Mhm.
I mean, absolutely. There is no doubt that Chengawan, the original Chenga, is the reason why Cleveland has such a great BMX scene.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. No doubt.
Definitely.
And we didn't have parks, neighborhood parks and
Right.
stuff. You just didn't. Yeah.
So was Akron Skate Park there when you went back?
No.
How long? When was that built in relation to when you started?
God, that's a good question. I guess I'm not sure. It seems like it's been there for a long time,
Yeah, it
hasn't
seems.
it?
I mean, as long as I can remember, obviously. But
You think it's been there 10 years?
I've been riding for 10
Definitely
years,
10
so
years,
yeah.
yeah.
It's crazy to think like you were there all the time, so you'd think you might remember when a skate park like popped out of nowhere.
I remember it was a big deal.
Yeah.
And as a member of the board of Akron BMX, we were like, oh no. We were like, oh man, we're gonna get all kinds of vandalism. These kids are gonna burn this place down, and we're gonna get broken into all the time.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, those things really did happen.
Yeah. It seems like it's calm right like now ish.
I guess I don't spend a ton of time down there anymore.
Well,
I
it's
mean,
just-
I do still go to the
Yeah.
track, but I don't know any of the inner workings of the track and what they're going through. But the track had to buy a security system. They had to fence in their whole thing and try and
Yeah.
just to keep the vandalism out. It's an insurance thing for them,
Yeah.
and it's a vandalism thing because that track is run completely 100% on volunteers. Nobody gets paid to do anything there. So all the money that they raise from races and events and people donating money goes straight into the track. Nobody else. So when somebody goes in there and breaks into the concession stand, tears a huge hole in the roof
Wow.
to go in and to steal candy, it's just a huge setback for them. And it's really, really unfortunate. And they could say, well, that happened before the skate park. Didn't happen before the skate park. It
Well,
happened
I mean,
after
the skate park
it's just
kinda-
kind of like, I don't want to blame the skate park, but it's like, God, it didn't happen before that, and it's happening now. So, yeah, unfortunately, it does bring a little more attention down there, which is good for the track.
Yeah.
Right, but it's also that the skate park is open 24/7.
It is.
And it's in a kind of, I would say, obscure location.
It is.
So if you have people down there, just anybody in the middle of the night, something bad's going to happen.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just today's society that that happens. But I guess if I had my choice of two evils, I would rather somebody break in and steal candy than ride a four-wheeler or a dirt bike or a Jeep or a truck on the track.
Yeah.
If I had my choice of one or the other, it would just take some goddamn candy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't F with the track.
Yeah.
Because we could always go and ride the track.
Yeah.
Might not be able to sell candy, and it's a lot of work and money to get the concession stand back. But man, the track, that's what it's there for, is to ride the track and have kids have fun riding their bikes. And that should be respected.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're all the way up to the track. What year is this now? 98, 99?
98,
So when did Rays start?
2004.
Okay. Were you there at the very beginning of it?
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
So, I have an interesting story about that. and I found out why this story even exists. So by the time I found out about this guy Ray and about this, he's building this bike park. I had no idea what he was building or whatever. I didn't know Ray, but I found out that he was building one in Cleveland. Now, at the time, I was living in Cleveland, and I was just I was living where I live now. No, I was living in Berea, which is a little suburb of Cleveland, and I would go to the website. He had a website up, but all it would show is the smokestack, and pretty much that's it, and maybe part of the building, and that was it. And he said, location coming soon, or whatever, you know, just. So there were people who found out where it was. I think that they did announce where it was, and people started coming, like, what's going on, what's going on?
Yeah.
And Ray couldn't get anything done.
Oh.
He couldn't get anything done because people were walking in going, hey, what are you building? What's going on? Who are you? What did you know? And he's like, oh my God, like I can't get anything done. Like, so he took all the location off of the website, and then he just told everybody, like he started locking the doors. He was like, nobody's coming in until I get some stuff done.
Yeah, Willy Wonka style.
So at the time, I was working for an LTL company, which is like a trucking company. I was working for them, and I would ask all of the drivers, and I would show them a picture of that. I printed it out. I would show a picture. I'd say, do you know where this place is?
Wow.
And they go, that could be here, it could be there. You know, a lot of places in the Rust Belt in Cleveland, and Pittsburgh, and Detroit, they got all the buildings kind of look alike. So they're like, I might have seen it. I'm like, okay, well, look, if you see the smokestack, please let me know where it's at or whatever. So months went by. I drove around Cleveland, drove around everywhere, and couldn't find it.
Yeah.
And then I think a driver or someone I knew or something said, yeah, it's over there by whatever, and just gave a general thing, and then I found it. And I pulled in, and this is funny, I pulled in, and I saw there was some cars parked out front, but the door was shut, and the other door was shut, and I just left it alone. I didn't knock, I didn't try the door, I didn't see if it was open or not. If the doors are shut, I don't want, you know what I mean? So I left. So I knew where it was, and then I started talking to some people, and then I got the invite to come in one day, and I came in, and I was just like, holy cow.
Yeah.
Wow, this is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And then I don't think I talked to Ray for a while, but I tried to come on the day that he opened in 2004, and we were at a BMX race in Tennessee, and I didn't get to go to the opening day, unfortunately. I really wish I would have, but we had a good time in Tennessee. So,
Right.
So how much was here when it first opened? What fraction, maybe, since people who are watching might not know exactly what it looks like here and how big it really is, like what fraction existed?
So we currently have 180,000 square feet. So the original space was 66,000.
Wow, that's still a lot.
It's still a lot. 66,000 square feet is a lot.
Yeah.
And I think most of the people who are either wanting to build a park or have built a park or are currently working on building parks are all right around in that square footage range.
Yeah.
They're all right around, and that would be big.
Yeah.
66,000 would be big if you're talking park size, indoor park size. It was impressive. When I came in, a lot of stuff was built. They put a bunch of trees out there, so it kind of looked like outside. They did the stencil on the walls that looked like trees. It was visually, it was really cool. And I'd never seen any of those like North Shore berms or little obstacles or logs or anything like that. I'd never seen that before. No, really nobody had.
Right, well,
I mean, they were just logs sitting in a warehouse, kind of, like by themselves.
Yeah.
And you just rode over them, and it was like, wow, what a concept.
So have you made the connection that you were part of one of the first BMX tracks? And probably it's the first indoor mountain bike park. Have you made that connection?
No, not
you were
until just
involved
now.
with both.
Yeah, that is that definitely is pretty cool. That
It's-
there is a connection
I mean,
there.
how
I
many
never
other
thought of
people
that.
could say that? None?
Yeah.
None?
Yeah. I mean, not exactly in that thing.
Yeah.
But there are plenty of people in the industry, I will say, because
Yeah.
I know there's people out there going, well, I was, part of that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are in the bicycle industry that have been there from the very beginning, and
Right.
with different things and different
Absolutely.
whatever. But in that particular thing, with this being what this is,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess you could say, yeah, it just kind of comes full circle. Like I
Yeah.
made this big detour,
Yeah.
but when I came back,
It's like history
as in
repeats
life, and when I try and tell kids almost on a daily basis, there's no way to guarantee it, but be in the right place at the right time with the right credentials, and something will happen.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So yeah, I was just in the right place at the right time on
Right.
the right day, to be a part of it, and then to tell Ray, say, hey, I announce all
Yeah.
over the country at these different BMX events. If you ever need anybody on the microphone, I'd be more than happy to just volunteer my time to do it. And sure enough, it wasn't long before he was like, oh, by the way, you're the announcer for the event today.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, great. I'm like, I don't know any of these mountain bikers.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm sure you'll be fine. And he just walks away. And he just hands me the microphone, and I'm like, okay. And then a couple other guys came over, and they're like, okay, we'll do this and do that. And like, we're going to go here, we're going to go there. And I'm just sitting there with my coffee. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning. Because I was always the first one here and the last one to leave.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's the way it happened here.
Was that 2004 when you told him
No.
the announcing stuff, or did it?
Yeah, it was probably that season. I
Yeah.
just sort of mentioned, maybe I might have mentioned it to one of the guys that were working up front
Uh-huh.
or something. And, I came in, I had a number plate on my bike. I was riding a cruiser at the time, a 24-inch cruiser. So, the guys that worked here, they knew that I was a racer, but, maybe they just didn't know that I announced or anything. But
Yeah.
I just made it known. I was like, look, man, I want to help you out. I want to see this thing
Yeah.
survive.
Right.
Like, please let me do whatever.
Yeah, and then that evolved into this. What do you do now?
Yeah, now I just hang out, man. I don't really do much.
Okay.
I just
Okay.
hang
Then
out
what's
here.
your title?
Oh, my title? I don't know. Just the dude.
The guy.
The guy that everybody complains to.
Yeah, the guy who yells when necessary.
I only had to yell once yesterday to a guy on the phone,
That's so funny.
but that's few and far between. So we've got our system down. I don't have to yell at that much
Right.
at people.
How long did it take to go from being the announcer that day to like kind of doing
So that was probably 05, 06, something like that.
Yeah.
And then the very end of 09 going into 10, we were kind of like just testing the waters a little bit. He had mentioned to me that he was needing somebody to do that, to run the park for him. But everything wasn't in place yet. So he needed to make a couple things happen first. And then by the very beginning of, I think it was 10, yeah, because this is the 8th year. Yeah, I was here, and I was managing the park, and I was the guy making the changes and dealing with, the employees that came from the old school way of doing things and weren't that happy about things, and I was like, what? This is a popular place.
Yeah.
We either need to change with the times or fall with the rest of them.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to let it fall.
No.
So I was like, no, we need to tighten some things up around here.
And it
so.
seems like things are they better than they've ever been?
Well, they're better than they ever have been.
Yeah.
But the biggest reason why things are like they are today is because of Trek. If it wasn't for Trek coming in and giving us a good point of sale system, a good organizational chart, a good job map
Yeah.
of how things are to be run and what everybody's duties are here on a daily basis,
Yeah.
that we still could be scrambling at the front end, taking people's picture and putting them in an old outdated computer. And it's very possible that still could be the case. I would hope not that wouldn't be the case, but it doesn't matter because it is what it is today.
Yeah.
And what it is today is because Trek you know, they owned the park. They wanted to make sure that everything was done the right way.
Right.
And they made sure that those processes were in place. So we should be very thankful to Trek Corporation for coming in and kind of bailing us out of a trying time.
Yeah.
At the time we were building Milwaukee. And basically, yeah, kind of bailing us out.
Right.
Yeah. So they set in place some things, and you know, they had a management
Yeah.
that was, you know, over me, and like, but they really kind of let me do whatever I wanted to do.
Yeah.
You know, but we had an HR department, which was weird. We had a
Oh,
legal
gosh.
department. You know, I mean, we had all the assets that Trek had to our disposal, so we
Right.
can make those phone calls and get a hold of those people, even though they didn't really understand the business of the bike.
Well, it sounds like they came in and showed how to properly run a successful business.
Yeah.
And then you adapted running a skate park, mountain bike park, to that mold, and
course.
that's what made it successful.
Yeah.
Aside from all of the awesome stuff to ride. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
that's part of it too.
but that's the part that, you know, Trek builds bikes.
Yeah.
They don't run amusement parks.
Right.
So they were just kind of like, yeah, we know how to build bikes, and we know how to run retail establishments, but when it comes to something like this, which is way different than a retail establishment,
Yeah.
I think it is. We sell retail,
Yeah.
but we're not pressuring it on anybody.
Right.
We're not, you know, finding out what people's budgets are when they walk in. Hey, what's your
Right.
budget today? Hey, we got this and we got this and we
Yeah.
got, you know, it's not that at all.
That's not your product.
No,
The
that
product
is
is
not
the
our
park.
Product is the park, absolutely. People come here to ride their bike, not to buy,
Yeah.
you know.
But it's here if you
bling.
want it.
It is here. And it is part of the business, and we like to sell retail stuff,
Mhm.
but we turn away a lot of service, you know, people wanting tune-ups and stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's not our business. That's not what we do. We're not equipped for that, and we don't want to be equipped for that. The local brick and mortar bike shop, those are the guys that are going to help you out tuning in your bike.
Mhm.
Those are the guys that want to order from Profile, and they want to order from Cali and from Fox and from all these other things. If you go there and let them know enough times,
Yeah.
you know, hey, this is what we want,
Right.
eventually they're gonna, you know, carry that stuff or order it for you.
Absolutely.
But, you know, selling that stuff is part of what we do, but we also like to think that this is an opportunity for our customers to come in and see our sponsors' products, and not necessarily buy them on the point,
Yeah.
but be able to see them and say, wow, that was a really cool product. I probably should have bought it when I was there, but you know what? I'm gonna go to their website, or
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to the local bike shop, or I'm gonna go to REI, or I'm gonna go to Dick's, or I'm gonna go to wherever. Doesn't even matter where it is. But yeah, our product is the park. Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
So, we've talked about from the beginning to where we're at now. I'm going to give you a hard question.
Oh no.
You've done racing, skate parks, trails, all that stuff. What's your favorite aspect of bikes right now?
Well, so now the racing thing is like kind of
Right.
like I don't want to say I'm done with racing, but
Yeah.
racing competitively I'm done.
Right.
But I'm not done riding the tracks because
Yeah.
I think everybody should ride a BMX track. Everybody. I think it's great. But now it's mountain bikes, it's cross country, it's enduros. If we had downhill stuff, I would probably do downhill stuff, but I don't. But right now, my focus is completely cross country, mountain bikes, and all that. So, I guess for me, coming from the mountain bike side of things, that it's great to have such a close knit community of people who also ride mountain bikes
Yeah.
and who also enjoy doing the same things that we do, like being outside and being in the nature. And now I'm kind of growing roots out into maybe some hiking, you know, some epic trails, you know, doing stuff like that, you know, and maybe while I'm hiking, that will spark another interest of doing maybe something else. But the outside is beautiful and I love it, even though we're cooped up in this inside thing all winter.
We paint the walls to make it feel like outside.
Yeah, but outside is better.
Always.
I love coming indoors because we don't have a choice, and it's great. And having to see friends, you know, on a weekly basis and hang out with my friends and stuff is great. But you know, being outside is really cool too. So yeah, I guess it's just that part. Being outside, having a good, strong community of people that like doing the same thing is great. Yeah.
I did want to ask too, how many people are still riding here who are here, like
From
at
the
very
beginning.
Is there a lot?
No, I don't think so. So some of the guys are still here on a regular basis, but there's really only a handful.
So say I think first time I was here was either 04 or 05.
Yeah.
So
Would you say that there's more BMX riders that have been here from the beginning because Changa, like, was around and then ended around the time that this was becoming a thing? So like, this was the place to go, or was there not as
For
much
sure.
BMX in the beginning?
No, there was no BMX in the beginning.
Okay.
BMX bikes weren't allowed in the park.
Oh,
I thought the very beginning had that rhythm up front where it was like 3 boxes in a row.
So the first 2 years,
Yeah.
BMX bikes were not allowed. You had to have a 24-inch bike or bigger
Huh.
to ride in the
Okay.
park. So, of course, that didn't last very long.
Right.
Because there was like the King of Rhythm, right?
Right.
Which is that what you're talking about, the King of Rhythm thing?
No,
or
I had
the-
a buddy, his name was Matt Patterson. And he was a carpenter from Wayne County. He was coming up on the weekends and building ramps here.
Oh,
And
okay.
I came up with him.
Yeah.
And I could have sworn there was a box jump, like where,
Yeah.
like that.
No, there was box jumps, but they were
Okay.
built for the mountain bikes.
Okay.
They were built for novice riders.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there was a rhythm section, and those boxes were built by BMX guys.
Yeah. Well, he was a big mountain biker. It's just when you're in Wayne County, Ohio, whoever rides, you ride with them. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. So in that case, like, you knew somebody was coming into the park to work or whatever.
Right.
So you just came along and like kind
Right.
of went in and
Yeah.
took your BMX bike and rode around on stuff. I don't know the exact timing of when you were here or when
Right.
you weren't. And it doesn't matter
It doesn't, no.
because after a certain time, you know, BMX guys are pounding on the door.
Right.
Like, let us in.
especially after Chenga closed.
Well,
Probably.
that too. It was like, come on, man, let us in. This is crazy, you know. And so it started out as being like 1 day a week
Right.
because the park was only open 6 days a week and then closed on Mondays. And then during the week, it opened at like 4 p.m. or something when Ray would get off of his normal job and just be able to be here and open the doors. So it'd be like 4 to 10 or something would be a session. And then there was 1 day during the week, I think it was either Tuesdays or Thursdays or something like that, that BMX bikes were allowed. And then we kind of noticed, wow, there's a lot of BMX guys coming. You know, just as many as mountain bikes at some points. And then I think there was another day that got added, and then there was the Sunday night thing
So
that
that's
got
been
added.
around for a long
Sunday
time.
night BMX has been around for a long time. And we're going to continue to keep that, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
it's one of our most popular nights.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if not the most popular section, if you would say, from 4 to 10. It's crazy how many people show up for a Sunday night, 4 to 10. It's great, actually. But eventually, then it got to the point where it was like, all bikes, all the time. Come in. Everybody
Right.
pays the same.
Yeah.
There was a little like price difference at one point, I think it was. Like BMX guys were only charged like $10. And like mountain bikers were charged 15 or something like that. And mountain bikers are like, oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Like, I understand what you're doing, but that's not fair.
Right.
So everybody just pays the same, and it's
Yeah.
been like that for forever.
And now you got a guy on a unicycle cruising this place on the regular.
Yeah, that's pretty funny because I think unicycles were here from almost the beginning.
Wow.
It was kind of like, you know, Unicycles, like, come on, man. And then unicycles evolve too. I mean, they ride unicycles on downhill tracks.
Oh, they ride them down mountains. It's crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
So, you know, they get just as much respect here as any other bike discipline.
Yeah.
Trials.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I saw a guy on a trials bike recently.
Or fixies.
That's a thing here.
Well, not here, but it's a thing.
Well, yeah, I'm like
Fixie
I'm
freestyle.
trying to imagine a fixie jumping the XC loop outside.
I haven't seen that, but I did see a guy ride a fixie, a 26-inch fixie, in the skate park.
Wow.
That's nuts.
Wow is
Have you
right.
seen
It was
those-
weird.
Have you seen those videos though? Those guys
Oh,
are
no,
doing.
no.
Those guys are doing
Oh.
like bar spins and stuff,
And-
where with their pedals moving.
I know, and it's insane.
Yeah.
Insane. I'm standing back there and I'm watching this guy go through like doing wall rides and then like going across the deck and like a pedal wheelie and like and hopping the back end
Yeah.
to get the pedals
Yeah.
right, you know, to go up on the quarter or something.
Wow.
It's blowing my mind because it does not look normal at all.
Yeah.
And you're just like, whoa, God, that looks really weird.
And hard.
And, yeah, but you don't. But for somebody who's never ridden one like that,
Yeah.
it's really hard to kind of understand what's going on, and
Are
it's
they
really
different?
hard to understand really how techy it is. I mean, the pedals are moving whether you want them to move or
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
But just being able to, it doesn't register with me. I don't have that
I want to see
ability.
one at the trails.
I think there's guys out there that could do it.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you'll ever see one or not.
I want to. Yeah. That would be a sight to see.
Well, I do have a goal for the trails, for the Apple Creek trails.
What's that?
To be able to jump through Maine on my 50th birthday.
When is that?
It's in about a year and 2 months.
Oh, you're in. You're in.
Look,
It's not guaranteed,
no,
but
nothing is
If you
guaranteed.
keep your current pace, you're in.
Unfortunately, tomorrow is never guaranteed.
You're right.
We've
Right.
learned that with
Absolutely.
recent happenings here.
Do you want to talk
So-
about that?
I mean, we can.
That's totally up to you if you'd like to.
Yeah, we can.
What happened?
Well, unfortunately, Ray had an accident on his mountain bike at the end of last summer, like in early fall in September, and just a super freak accident going down this real super flowy section of trail. He was probably hauling ass, and just got a little loose and hit a tree with his head and completely like smashed his helmet to pieces. And he's lucky to be alive, but broke his neck and is now suffering some paralysis and maybe long-term, maybe permanent. We're hoping it's not permanent,
Yeah.
but it's possible it could be.
Yeah.
But we've been dealing with that, since September.
And that's where the
So-
Ride for Ray stuff comes from.
That's where the hashtag Ride for Ray comes from.
Stickers, shirts, all that good stuff.
Yep, and the GoFundMe page also is up for people who want to donate that can't come to the park and ride. But since we're talking about like donations and stuff like that, like there's been so many people that have approached me on a daily basis that say, man, what can I do?
Mhm.
Is there anything I can do to help? And if they're standing in the park, I say, you're doing exactly something right now by being here at the park.
Yeah.
Riding what Ray created and what he'll continue to create. Maybe not with his own hammer and whatever, but he's still going to design the park. He's still going to make sure that things get done in the summer. He's still going to make those phone calls to get people motivated and make sure that the work gets done.
Yeah.
So, I mean, his vision and his creativity and what he sees the park and the progress that it makes is still going to be his 100% input and decision.
Right.
So, it's just going to be constructed and built by us,
Yeah.
which is no different than any other year.
Right.
It's just Ray's going to take a little time off. He's going to focus on rehab and getting a lot of function back.
Yeah.
And we hope that he'll be able to ride in here again.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, that's what I think everybody's hoping for. You know, he put it all on the line in 99 or 2000 or whatever it was when he decided that this is what he wanted to do was build a park. And all of his focus went into building this park, and all of his savings and all of his time and everything was devoted to this park to make this thing happen. So, you know, I mean, it's unfortunate, and we as riders, we know people who have been seriously hurt by riding bicycles, and it's the chance that we take every time we throw a leg over a bike, and we, you know, we just need to be careful. As careful as we possibly can.
Yeah.
You know, everybody has their chicken bone, but in Ray's case, he was in full control. He knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
Like, we'd ridden that trail 1,000 times. We knew every corner, every route, every rock in that trail, and then just something happens. But, you know, there's nothing wrong with saying, you know, I think I'm going to slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
Or I don't think I'm going to ride this trail alone. You know, I mean, just like you guys wouldn't ride the trails, you know,
Never.
dirt jumps
No.
by yourself.
Helmet and someone else there. That's,
I mean,
that's it.
That's it. So if Ray wasn't riding a helmet, he wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Right.
No way. But yeah, we just, you know, there's got to be a time where people just say, okay, I'm going to slow down a little bit.
Right.
So, yeah, unfortunately, we're dealing with that. But the good thing is that, you know, the park's not going anywhere. We're
Yeah.
still gonna march on. You know, there's some changes that we're gonna have to make here and there, but nobody will ever notice any of that stuff. You know, we're gonna focus this year on getting a lot of the stuff that is legacy type features that are out there. We're gonna get those dialed in and get those nice and sturdy, and, you know, get everything dialed in, and maybe a new paint job, and, you know, I mean, the park will be just as badass as it always has been, and we got some surprises up our sleeve. So,
Yeah.
you know, it'll still, well, I can't tell you.
Will there be growth? We had a lot just like last year.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Several rooms have been added.
Right, the last 2 years we have expanded.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'll be honest, when Ray told me last summer that we're going to take on new space, I was just like, oh no. I'm like, no, not any new space. I mean, it's a lot to keep up. It's
Yeah.
a lot of roof. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of lights. There's a lot of stuff that we need to keep track of. And it's a lot for the amount of staff that we have. It's a lot. So taking on new space was something that I wasn't like gung-ho, like, yeah, this is going to be sick. I was like, oh no. But I will say this, and Ray has done this to me time and time and time again. I'm always like, man, I don't know.
Yeah.
And he's like, it'll be okay. Like, we're doing it.
Yeah.
We're going to do it. We're going to get it done.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. And sure enough, every time. He's never let me down, not one time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in almost 15 years, the size has tripled, 68,000 to 180,000.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
How many other skate parks, indoor parks? I mean, that's also what's special about this place is that that's even possible. Because most places you can't do that without building another building, you know?
That is true. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the market right now in commercial real estate for 180,000 square feet, and look at the price per square foot, and you start adding just that up alone, and you figure out what it costs a month to occupy a space like that, you're like, whoop, no, that ain't happening.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no way. You know, maybe the guy who just launched that rocket into space with the car attached to it, maybe he would be able to
Maybe
do
we
it.
should get his kid
You
into
know?
riding bikes.
Elon.
Yeah. Hey, you guys out there, will you please send that guy a BMX bike? You know, him and his kids and his family.
Yeah.
That would be great. We'd have another sick park.
in California.
Right.
On Mars.
Yeah.
The first indoor bike park on Mars.
With no gravity, so you just go.
Right. And there'll be a shuttle to Jupiter where you could ride like a dirt terrain park on Jupiter.
You said.
Jupiter's gas, though.
It would be great.
If there's anything that's certain with that guy, it's that nothing is certain.
Right. So even before Ray's situation that we have now, we get asked all the time. I have probably 3 emails in there right now that I got to get back to people wanting to build parks or wanting us to build a park.
Yeah.
Or they want to build a park somewhere and they want us to help them, or they want a franchise opportunity or whatever. And we just don't think that what we have here can be duplicated.
It would take a very special set of circumstances
That's exactly
and
what
a
it
lot
is.
of luck.
That's exactly what it is. It's a certain set of circumstances,
Yeah.
a lot of luck. The stars have to be perfectly aligned,
Yeah.
and you have to have the right people at the right time with the right amount of support to make something like this happen. And even then, it's not guaranteed.
Yeah.
Being in an old building like this, there's surprises around every corner.
Oh yeah.
And I have learned from every day living my life in this place for the last 8 years is always expect the unexpected, because it will happen. When you think it's not going to happen, it's going to happen. So you just got to keep your senses aware of everything that's going on. It's a very unique atmosphere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See yourself here for another 8 years?
of course.
Forever. As long as it's here. As long as it's here, you're here.
I think I would like to. I would like
Why
to.
not, right?
Well, why not? While I'm physically able to do it and
Yeah.
still be a part of the summer construction thing and still be able to be on the roof and do repairs and, physically, I'll be 50 next year. 50 is the new 30.
Oh yeah, I've talked about this before. We really don't know yet what the age limits are because of the age of BMX. Like, the number of people who were there at the beginning, who are still here, is so much smaller than the number of people getting into it now.
Yeah.
So as time goes on, there's going to be more people to stay involved
Yeah.
to find out. Like, there's that 70-year-old lady who still rides the racetrack. Like,
Sure.
it's crazy.
Yeah, she had some good media time too,
Yeah,
right?
because of that.
Wasn't she on a late show?
She
or-
was on TV somewhere.
Miss Kitty.
Yeah.
Miss Kitty.
Yep.
Yep, I've seen her many a times at BMX races, and it's amazing. But yeah, somebody like that, you never know. They could have a 70 and over class at the BMX races,
Yep.
and
then
guys are competitive doing it.
Hoffman, DMC, Dennis McCoy won an X Games medal at like 50 years old or something like that. So I think.
Look, there's inspiration out there everywhere.
Yeah.
Guys like that, and guys like Stu Thompson that are still killing it. And there's a long list of guys. There's still Rick Moliterno, still.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
amazing rider.
Yep.
And he's over 50, I believe.
And how many guys
And-
that you don't know about who are still riding trails and
Tons.
riding all kinds
Tons.
of places that you just don't hear about.
You don't hear about it. I would at least like to think that at my age, doing the things that I do on a bicycle and being able to do what I do is, I think that there's not a long list of people that do that, but it's getting bigger and there's more people staying in it and there's more people being involved. And I think I'm seeing it from the root of it. And I think that this place, Ray's Indoor Bike Park, has really changed a lot of people and got more people into bikes by just being here.
Absolutely.
I think we are a huge reason why the dirt jumper scene locally and in this region is so huge.
Oh yeah.
I think we are the reason why.
If you've ever
That
tried to
is.
look one up and buy one, you'll see that how hard it is just to find one.
Right.
In general.
But if you go to the BMX tracks around here, starting from Michigan, going down to Louisville, coming over to like, Pittsburgh, and then up to Erie, and then back over to Cleveland, you go to any of those BMX tracks, you will see dirt jumpers at the BMX track.
Yeah.
But if you go down south to Florida, you're probably not going to see very many of them.
That makes sense.
You're probably not going to see many of them in Georgia or whatever, because we just didn't influence that many people from that area. But around here, there's a huge influence for that. And same thing with the mountain bike scene around here. I think that a lot of the trails, the mountain bike trails and like the skate park downtown, I would like to think that we were, a wedge of that pie. I don't know how big that wedge is, but a wedge of that pie that says, hey, we get a lot of people who ride at this place. And that if we continue to build this cycling culture around Cleveland and around Rays and around this, that it'll just continue to grow. And I would like to think that we were a big, big part of that.
There's no question. Literally no question. Because if Rays didn't exist, there would just be Changa 2, and there would probably be who knows how many people who just don't even ride.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, I
It's
agree.
amazing.
Yeah, but we're very thankful to everybody who has, supported us, and very thankful for the different organizations around town that do credit us for certain things, I mean, it's great to have the support from the community.
At least once a year, you're kicking it with Kenny.
Kicking it with Kenny. He hasn't been around this year, but we do get calls from the news stations that want to do stories on us. I mean, we're a very unique venue.
Yeah.
Whether you're a rider or not. If you're a thrill seeker and you just want to go check it out, yeah, man, this is the place for you.
There was also that show on A&E, the storage or the moving truck, whatever that show is,
Yeah, Shipping Wars.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Rays was on that.
Yeah, well that goes back to another one of those stories where I was like, man, I don't know, we don't have anything, whatever, and Ray stepped up and was like, no way, this is a national TV show that's going to be in reruns. We want to be a part of that. And Trek was like, well, we don't have the budget for that, and he's like, well, then I'll just spend my own damn money doing it then, because it's my name is still on the door.
Yeah.
So we're going to make this happen. We're going to build something crazy, and we're going to ship it to Milwaukee. Whether Trek pays for it or whether you're a part of it or whatever, Ray was like, I'm doing it. And he called the production company and said, yeah, we're in. Bring the cameras.
Yeah.
We're ready.
That's really awesome.
So we built that big hamster wheel, and they came and we filmed it, and I wish I could do it over again. I know that it was definitely one of those things where I just wish things would have been just a little bit different, and we could have really blown that show up, with some really cool stuff. But it happened so quick. It was like the guy was in here, they were shooting, they were filming, and it was like this, and then all of a sudden they're gone. We rigged the thing up and they're gone. I'm like, oh man, I didn't get time to do this. Or, you have all these visions of how it goes, and it wasn't like that at all. It was like, came in, they did their thing, and they're gone. But that was pretty cool. And then we were questioned on Jeopardy too, which was pretty
Really?
Yeah.
What was the question?
Ray's MTB in Cleveland offers their customers this or practice in this unique environment.
Wow. I didn't know that.
That is
That's
indoor mountain biking.
What is yeah, exactly. Ding ding ding. He wins.
Yeah.
What is indoors?
wow.
But nobody got it.
Yeah.
Nobody got the question or the answer, whatever you want to say.
Wow,
With
that's
Jeopardy.
still amazing.
Nobody got it, but there was somebody in their research department that dug really deep,
Yeah.
And I think it was just the Raise MTV part that they didn't understand or they didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
So they were like, I don't even know what Raise MTV is. Like, that's crazy pop culture question.
Yeah.
I don't know what the subject was though.
Yeah.
But it was cool that we were able to be recognized on such a big stage like Jeopardy.
Yeah.
Is that crazy to say?
Yeah.
That
Cool.
is, it's crazy that it happened.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's been a cool ride.
Absolutely. So, is there anything that you wanted to talk about specifically that we haven't talked about? Because we kind of only talked about your history and then Raise in general. Is there anything
Yeah.
on a personal level?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
Maybe we can end it on what do you think about freestyle in the Olympics?
Freestyle in the Olympics? Well, I think it's really cool. I think the whole judging thing,
Yeah.
I think is just I don't think it's that fair.
Yeah. We talked about this with Nick.
Did you?
Yeah.
I think anything with judges, it's a weird thing.
Yeah.
Have you ever judged a contest before?
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
It's easy to
No,
throw.
you literally talked about how it was like so hard.
Yeah.
to judge a contest and then to compete and try to
Oh, yeah.
understand what they're judging on.
Right.
So what do you do for the judges? I mean, ice dancing
Mm-hmm.
and, different things, mogul skiing. And I'm just throwing things out there. It's like Winter Olympics are going on right now, and I
Yeah.
just kind of flip back and forth to see some stuff. But, some of the judging stuff, I don't, yeah, that would be my only gripe. I think it's great. I think we'll hopefully get to see some of that on primetime TV.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
That is the problem, though, because
Yeah.
BMX racing was scheduled to be on, well, sort of prime time, but I mean, it was supposed to be. But because it was an outdoor venue, it rained,
Oh.
so it didn't get recorded, or it got recorded, but only later, and then it showed at like 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it was great, but it wasn't because it wasn't on prime time.
Mhm.
So whether the judging is fair or not, or what I think of it, doesn't really matter. But what I think is if we can get enough prime time coverage and a good storyline with somebody, whether it be Nick, or whether it be Corey Coffey, or whether it be anybody else, or Hannah Roberts,
Yeah.
or any of these guys that are going to be in the Olympics, that if we get one of those feature stories, one of those backstories, and then there's this whole drama thing that happens, and then all of a sudden the competition comes about, and then there's this big blow up where this person wins, and coming from this and
Yeah.
doing this, and I think the Olympics is a great thing. But it's really going to depend on how much exposure that we get.
Yeah. Well, you're certainly, if Nick is involved and he's in it, you're going to get local. The news will probably want to talk about Nick, and he'll talk about here. And, being in the Olympics is a big deal.
Absolutely. And I'm hoping, Nick, if you're watching, that you would suggest that they did some of the interviews here. And maybe not all, because they want to see where he's from and, his family, and they want to meet his family and want to, see where he lives and all that stuff, all the personal stuff. But if they do anything, it'd be great if you could do it here at the park.
Right.
Either that or Wedgwood.
Yeah, well, there's that one for sure, too.
Yeah. So, look, any TV cameras are more than welcome here.
Hear that? Hear that, TV?
Other TV land?
Yeah. Well, did you have more questions or anything?
I think we covered it.
No,
Thanks.
we don't want
Time.
to. We don't want to talk about the circus.
Do you want to
or
talk
any-
about the
no,
circus?
I don't. I've said that to my friends. That's like around the campfire, you're
Yeah.
camping out or
Yeah.
something, and somebody just brings up juggling or unicycles, or I don't know how the subject ever comes about.
Yeah.
But I end up telling them, I was in the circus at one time, and they're like, oh, come on, dude, no way, And so the story goes. So maybe that's for another podcast. But that would
Yeah.
be cool if
That'd
you
be
want to talk
awesome.
about the circus and
We can do
you
another
know,
one.
sex, drugs, and rock and roll. We could talk about that.
Let's do
too.
that. Let's do that podcast.
We'll do a round. We should get
Yes.
a round table
Yes.
Yeah.
of people who have had great things to talk about.
We'll get a 360 camera.
And
sit
then-
in the middle.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we could talk about sort of the very bottom of things too.
That would be
You know,
fantastic.
of the sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and all the things that have happened to us because of those three things.
Yeah.
Right on.
I don't think we want to do that.
We'll see.
All
We'll
right.
talk about it.
Yeah.
This is okay.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
This is a lot of
Awesome.
fun.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.